everybody to the show. Today, I'm sitting down with my good buddy, Tyler Barnett. Man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, buddy. Really appreciate it, man. This has been a long time coming.
I know. I've been talking to you in the gym like, Tyler, bro, you need to come on the cast. And you're like, oh, dude, I got nothing good to say. I just like to pick weights up and put them down, and I like to just do my job and do my YouTube. I don't need to be on no casts. I'm like, dude, come on. So it's been a couple months of just constant peer pressure of the most. Get on the show. So now we're recording it. And
Yeah.
We're 45 seconds in.
Yeah, and he is not lying. There's been plenty of pressure to get on the podcast, and I've been listening thoroughly through them, being an avid fan of the Blazing Trails podcast now.
Well, it's funny because you're like, I can't remember how the conversation of like the cast came up. You're like, what? You got one? So then you downloaded it, you found it, and then you, like most people will just start with the last episode, but you're a little bit of an oddball, and you go all the way to the beginning, and you start with episode 1, and you're not going to cut ahead.
I am kind of anal in that aspect. I have like a minor case of ADD where I got to do things in order, man. I don't like washing and wishing and washing. And, yeah. Plus, I found that like listening in from episode 1 up to the point I'm at now, it tells a really good storyline because, your references, you reference back to people that have previously been on the show, and those people know those people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just cool to like have that tie-in to their story as well, because they have good things to say about those people, or they've met those people, or they've competed against those people, or they've eaten with those, whatever it may be. But yeah, the camaraderie is there, man, between multiple aspects of all the people you've interviewed. So it's been really nice, man. Good
Awesome.
job.
I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate it, man. And what's cool is even though there's such a broad variety of people, they all have kind of the same core values, and they're all just motivated to get after it.
Very consistent in that aspect.
So, man, I guess we should tell everybody how we met. I don't know. I can't remember the exact day, but maybe you want to take the reins on that one, and then I'll tell my version.
Yeah, well, from what I can remember, it was a nice sunny day there at the Gillette Community College. Oh boy. And we were starting up electrical classes, and we kind of went through introductions and whatnot. That's when we unofficially met. But then we sat together one day and we just started BSing, and then it was just kind of just tongue in mouth, man, just being two weird SOBs, just started clicking like that, and then all of a sudden, we're sitting next to each other in class, getting in trouble for making too much noise or talking like Bane. Or man, yeah, just, then the college humor stuff was coming out, and we were really big on getting into that and making fun of that, and yeah, we just started rolling with the punches. Yeah, it's weird because you don't remember the exact things that you said to one another like right off the bat, but yeah, it just kind of tied into being that click moment. Like, man, this guy's got a good sense of humor. He's on the same level as me. He knows what's going on. He's not offended. I'm not offended. So it's just one of those friendships that just kind of blossomed from just being who we are, man.
I agree.
Those are the best ones.
Man, it was funny. It's like, for me, I remember, because I went to Casper College for 2 years, got that degree, and like the rodeo team, I was super tight with them, but I wasn't so close with my classmates in the fire science program.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and then transferred to Gillette, and I wasn't quite as much, like, the rodeo team, I was just in a different frame of mind at the time. Like, I was really anal about just hitting the gym and
very focused individual
and trying to get in shape, because I felt like I was behind my whole rodeo career, and all the rodeo team was, they're out partying, having a good time, which looking back, it's like, dang, okay.
I missed out.
That might have been pretty fun, but I felt, in my mind, I felt like I had to catch up. But then I felt like I was really close to all my buddies in the electrician program.
Yeah.
And, like, we're just all a bunch of good dudes. Like, we had Tyson there. We had
Stewie, the Mats, JT was in our group, Kirk and Daniel. Oh man.
Then we had Tom and Ray, and who was what was the guy that would talk? Doug.
Yeah, Doug.
Where you'd come in there and teach code, and you'd halfway fall asleep.
Yeah.
But Anyway, so like I remember sitting in class with you, like you said, we'd cover the College Humor. If you guys listen, haven't heard of College Humor Batman, like type that in, watch about 5 or 10 videos, and you'll see what we're talking about. It's just cheesy.
So stupid.
It is,
but it is. It's funny if you've seen The Dark Knight and whatnot.
Yeah, and if you're into that sort of thing, so like, Tyler and I would sit there and we'd quote that, and then I remember that was kind of big when we'd always play games on our phones. We'd play like that. What was it, Hill Climber or Hill Racer?
Oh yeah, Hill Racer.
And then you do like the Tunnel of Doom or whatever, the guy's Tunnel Runner or something.
Yeah, Maze Runner or
Temple Runner.
Temple Runner, there you go.
Yeah, and he'd run, you'd have to jump and slide and do all those things, and the monkeys would chase you. So we'd play those games. But yeah, man, and I remember, I think after Gillette College, I transferred to Tarleton, and I think you got hired on at the mine, right?
Yep.
And you started doing that, and I remember I was off rodeo and doing my thing, and I for some reason, you must have just started getting on Instagram, posting stuff. And I remember...
Yeah, I think that's when I actually made an Instagram, was in college.
And
I finally got on board, I guess. I got talked into it,
Yeah, we all get talked into it. But, and I guess that's when I started Instagram, was at Gillette College as well. But I remember I remember seeing a post, and you were deadlifting. Because at the time in college, man, like, you were a stocky guy. But you weren't
I was definitely a stocky boy. Big boy.
Yeah, but you weren't like overweight. You were just big and strong. You were filled
just
out.
blocky.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. And then I remember seeing this video, and it's like you trimmed up, you got more cut, and then you're sitting here. You said you weighed, I think on the post, if I remember, you're like 165, but you're pulling like 350 or something. Like you're deadlifting you're pulling some decent weight.
Yeah, that was one of your 405 pull.
Maybe that was
I think that was the first time I tried that.
Yeah, and I remember watching. I'm like, dang, old T-Bar flipped a switch. Like he's getting after it, man. And then I can't remember something. I came back to Gillette. I saw you in the gym. We caught up for a second, and then it was like a couple years passed, and then now here I am, moved to Gillette, and then we saw each other in the gym again.
Yeah, it was kind of a roundabout deal. And it's funny going back to our college stories, man, and talking about your devotion to rodeo, and that was something I really looked up to, man, was your drive. Like, because I remember I came over to you guys' dorm, and we were hanging out one day, and you just had the spur board down in that little corridor where the stairs meet from going up to down. It's just this little, like, 5x5 area, spur board sitting there, and that's where you practice. Then we went up to your room to grab something, and you got all these motivational, pictures up there, and you're telling me about them. I'm like, man, this guy is freaking nuts. I'm like, he is on one. I'm like, damn. I mean, I thought it was cool, but I myself just, I guess, wasn't like that at the time, just kind of a lollygagger, just running through life. But yeah, man, I took that. I'll never forget those days, just like the motivation you gave me. I'm like, man, this guy's like really motivated to get something done,
Thanks,
and be
man.
good at something. It's like, wow, it really impressed me, man. It definitely helped set a course for myself.
Really?
After
how so? Like, tell me. So, like, after you saw that stuff, and maybe I can dive a little bit on why I did those things. But when you saw that, how did you change things in your life? What did you do?
Well, shoot, man. Like all of my other friends, I mean, they're great guys. Love the dudes, whatever. But no one seemed to have like that ambition at the time. We're all pretty new to college. I mean, I know you're a year older than me, but we're all just getting into college and just getting out of high school, and no one's got anything figured out at that point in life, right?
Right.
So it's, coming and hanging out with a guy like you who's like the same as us, my group of friends particularly, and, making a new friend in you and having that same camaraderie, but then you also have this drive to do like a sport after high school and like carry it on, whereas like, I guess most of my other buddies weren't like that. They were just trying to figure it out, have fun, live life at the time, but they weren't, I guess, a driving force in my life. We didn't feed off of one another as far as like ambition wise.
Yeah.
But seeing that, man, it sparked something in me, and it was like, I was like, man, we're the same age, and he's driving himself to do something more, recreationally outside of high school. It was like, I didn't think that was a real thing. I thought, if you didn't get your shot going right into college, you're done. Like, oh, now you gotta go through school, get a real job. Sports are done. But obviously, I love the weightlifting. Is still kept with the training and whatnot. But yeah, after hanging out with you, man, it sparked a little something in me to like find a good purpose in the gym, and it kind of shifted me towards like taking it more seriously, and starting to do what you did and find like the motivation and go out and find those people that were the driving force. I know, huge, who isn't on this list, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's on everybody's freaking list, man.
Yeah.
And of course I found him, technology was coming up still a little bit, but, I started finding people like that and going with their quotes and, reading through their routines and doing research and yada, yada, yada. And that's kind of where I started building all the way up to where I am today.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were a little spark in that process, man.
Well, dude, it makes me feel good and just listen to you talk about it, and you never really think that you're touching as many people that are around you. You feel like you're just like, okay, this is your path, this is your mission, this is why I'm doing it, but then you never really know who's watching, and sometimes it's an impact, and it's especially if you're competing on a level, whether you're competing in a high school, even if you're competing at, say, like the YMCA, you're still impacting people.
Yeah.
Whether it be your kids, whether it be other people around you. And it's all kind of how you hold yourself and what kind of standard you want. And it makes me feel good that I had a small impact on your life, man. Because, like, looking back at those times, and I need to start, in a way, I need to kind of pick up some of those habits again. Because I kind of fell off the track with, now that I'm not rodeoing anymore, I need to kind of jump back and figure out how I can start doing those things. Because back in those days, man, I felt like, the reason why I felt like I pushed myself so hard is I always felt like I was behind.
Yeah.
You had to, because like a lot of these, and a lot of listeners of the show know I didn't start rodeo until college, which a lot of kids, growing up, they did like Pee Wee, then they did some junior high.
Little tykes,
Yeah, getting on calves, sheep. Yeah, growing up on ranches, and then, then they went into junior high rodeo, then high school rodeo, then graduating to college rodeo, and by that time, like, some of the college kids are competing at pro shows.
Yeah, that's years and years and years you like feel like you missed out on.
Yeah,
it's like, man, that is so much time that has elapsed that you could have been right there with those guys. But now it's like busting at the chomp. I mean, busting at the bit, or whatever you cowboys say.
Exactly.
Chomping at the bit.
That's right.
That's it. Yeah.
You got it. So, anyway, here I felt like I was behind, and now I'm diving into it. So, like, I felt like I had to do what other people wouldn't. So while the other, like, you always hear about people like, oh, if they're off partying, you're staying at home training.
That's where you was like, that was another thing that I took from you. It's like, because I'd always tell you, like, dude, we're having a party, or like, come out and hang out with us. We're gonna go out drinking and whatnot. And every time you'd be like, nah, man, I don't drink. And I've got a big rodeo coming up, so I'm really, trying to train for that. And I can never wrap my head around it. Back then it was just like, man, what is wrong with this guy? It's like he's passing up on fun.
Yeah.
It was like, is this like that important? But you just kind of shrug it off, like, whatever, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, you're just like, man, that's so strange. He's like that committed that he doesn't want to come hang out with his friends and do that. He's got this mission.
Right.
And it's got to complete the mission.
That's right. Just like Jocko.
Yeah.
But man, it's like, like to kind of, jump off that is like, in my mind, if I went out and had a beer, for some reason I felt like I was weak, and I felt like I took 2 steps back when I worked to just get a step forward when I trained all week. And it was me, would the beer affect me in my riding? Probably not. But it was gonna hurt me more mentally than it would have actually physically. So for me to come out partying, it's like I would rather, and the reason why I didn't come out at the time, I wanted to do as much as I could, A, to catch up, and B, at the end of the college rodeo season, when I looked in the mirror, I don't got any excuses. I could look at myself in the mirror and be like, hey, you didn't drink, you worked out 5 to 7 days a week, you ate good, and you watched film, you rode the spur board, you got on saddle horses, you got on practice horses, and then you did everything you could to make yourself better. Like, did I tell you about the story about going to yoga? and I might have told this on the podcast before, but I gotta tell you, maybe you didn't know this. So I was taking a diesel mechanics class because there's like 8 credits and it took up most of the day, and I was like, well, that'd be a good way to make some credits.
Get some credits in,
Yeah.
For sure.
So anyway, it started at 7:30 in the morning, and then it went to like say 1 in the afternoon. And I remember talking to my teacher. I think his name was Travis. And anyway, I was like, hey, and I really wanted to start doing yoga. Well, the thing about it was yoga started at 6 and went to 7. Or no. I think it went from like, oh man, what was it? Because the class started at 7:30. I think yoga started at...
So basically a lapse.
Yeah, I would have missed a half hour, so it started at 8, and... No, you start at 7 and gets done at 8. So I would have missed the first half hour of class. So anyway, I told him, I was like, hey, I was wondering if you'd be cool if I missed the first half hour of your class Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, I really want to start doing yoga. He's like, what are you, sissy?
Yeah. What are you, boy?
Yeah, he was flipping me shit, and I was like, well, man, I think it's going to help me physically. I know it's going to help me. And like the first half hour is more like, hey, turn in your homework. It was just kind of joking around in class. It wasn't really serious. He's like, yeah. He understood. He's like, yeah, go do that. Come in. As long as you get your homework done and everything's good and you're on top of things, no problem. So I went in. This is the first time. So I walk in there at the rec, and it's early in the morning. I go in there and I look through that. You go upstairs at the rec, and it's
those little rooms.
The little room by the treadmill.
Mm-hmm.
And I look in there. I look in the window, and there's probably 20 to 25 ladies in there, all over 50, and there's no guys. And they all look grouchy. I look in there, and I kind of give them the old head tilt, and then I just chicken out, and I turn hike tail, and I go back, and...
Nope.
So that's exactly it. So then I go to class, and Travis like, how was yoga? I'm like, kind of hang my head. And I didn't go today. So anyway, I remember all Tuesday, I'm like, you pansy, you can't talk to old ladies? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you can do... So the next thing you know, Wednesday come, like, you're going. Like, I'm pumping myself up to, here I get on Bronx, but I can't go into a yoga class.
Right, with old women.
Right. So anyway, I walk into class, and I'm like, ma'am, I've never done this before. Do I need to have a mat or what? I'd like to start doing this. And she's like, oh, well, we got mats in the back. We got the blocks. We got everything you need. And, like, these ladies were just so nice to me. And, like, I probably did yoga for 3-4 months there that last semester. And
interesting.
Like, so then I ended up doing well at rodeos, and I made like a spot in the paper. I show up to yoga the next day, and they're like, hey, we saw you in the paper.
Yeah, it's all like the gossip for like
oh my God, I felt
girls.
like I had like 25 grandmas. It was awesome. But anyway, but the thing about it was yoga, man, I felt like I got more flexible. I recovered faster for rodeo, and like it was legit. And it definitely helped me.
Whatever it takes.
It's right, doing whatever it takes. So then, but then now, like, since we're kind of transitioned out of this deal, like looking back on it, it's like, I could have probably had a few more beers. I could have gone to a couple more parties, but still do the same work ethic. Just it's all how it's gonna affect you mentally. I feel like you gotta do what's gonna
those
be
roadblocks. You gotta pick and choose which ones. It's like setting down traffic cones.
Right.
Do I want to set one here and it's gonna screw up the next guy, or do I want to wait for the next guy to go through and then set it down? It's just one of those decisions you got to make.
Right.
Which, dude, sorry to
no.
But
go ahead.
But bringing that up, that's kind of why it made me start to think about life, is because at such a young age you were able to do that mentally. Like, you were ahead. Maybe you were behind in rodeo in that aspect, but the mental toughness and the drive you had, you were light years ahead of the rest of us. I mean, looking around, all the guys our age, when you're just getting into college, not a lot of people have that mentality to carry on and carry through what you were doing, man. I mean, the peer pressure to, do other things.
Yeah.
And, on top of that, you got school, you're doing a sport. You've got work, other obligations, family to tend to, and whatnot. All those things, man. And it was just like seeing you that far ahead in life. It was almost like you were grown up in quotes.
Yeah.
Right at that age, and the rest of us are just like kids trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, I'm just like wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, like in awe at this guy. Like, he's the same as me, we have the same personality and everything.
Right.
But then, like, our pasts are just two completely different things, and it's like, man, that is motivating.
Well, shoot, man. Well, I kind of feel bad that this show is supposed to be talking about you, and here we are talking about me.
No, man, this is great.
But man, the thing that I think is really cool to kind of piggyback off of what we're talking about with being, dedicated and working towards a goal, is now that we're both working out at American Iron Fitness, owned by great people, Bill and Star Collins.
Very good people.
And everyone in there is a hard-working son of a gun, getting after it, lifting heavy weight. And, like one of your main training partners, I would say, I've actually had him on the show, Jeremiah Bain. So if you guys haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it.
Very small individual.
Oh my gosh.
Not very strong.
He's a monster.
Sarcasm.
I know. But, man, to see you guys taking kind of like what you're talking about, how I viewed rodeo, and putting that into your own thing and, pivoting with it and twisting with it and just crushing it. Like, man, you dove into the powerlifting thing head first and doing great at it. And, like, I remember talking to you guys one day. I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing this weekend? You want to go hunting? And you guys are like, no, can't. Too big of a risk. I might roll an ankle, and I might miss the powerlifting meet. I can't do it. Once the meet's done, then we'll figure out a time to hang out. And then I can't remember. I think it was also she was on the other foot now. I think you were coming up probably a month before whatever meet you were gonna hit last year. I'm like, Tyler, let's go get a beer. Let's go have like old times at Old Chicago. And you're like, yeah, man, I quit drinking. I really want to do good at this meet. And I'm like, good deal. Like, totally. Like, for me, it didn't hurt my feelings at all. Like, I've totally been there.
Yeah, you knew what it was like.
I was like, just right, man. I love the dedication, because it's probably the same thing that if you would have had that one beer, you would have gone home and you'd been like, gosh darn it, you're weak mentally, you're weak physically, it's going to hold you back this much. Is that going to cost me a pound? Maybe that pound would have got me a win at the meet? Like, you don't know. You didn't want to have that what if when it came to the comp.
The what ifs are what you eliminate.
Yes.
That way, like you said, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I gave it my all, and if you didn't perform well, hey, that's okay too. But, at least you took all the steps up the stairs to get to the top.
Yep.
And if you fall down the stairs, well, hey, that's just an intervention that needed to happen.
Yep.
It was going to happen.
Yep, and you need to just pick yourself up and try it again and do it maybe a little bit different the next time. But that's exactly it, man. I couldn't live with them what ifs.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do it, and I just wanted to take every excuse away. I wanted to know that I did everything myself and that I did everything I could. And some people have a different mentality about it.
For sure.
They want to have more of a, maybe if they take that approach, they're going to be too stressed out.
Yeah.
And they're going to be too in their heads, where then they overthink it, well then it's counterproductive, where then maybe if they go have that, say, quote unquote, one beer, that it's like
relaxation.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, I'm still a human being.
Yep.
let's go pick up some weight tomorrow.
Yeah.
And pick it up, and then it's more of a.
There's definitely those people out there.
So everyone has their thing. You just got to figure out what works best for you to get you in that zone.
Absolutely. There's no wrong way about it, unless you just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
But, everybody, like you said, you find your method, you stick to it, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's life. You're finding the change and you're adapting.
Yeah.
So
man, okay. Well, I want to back up a little bit, so people kind of like we've already kind of dived into some motivational stuff already, but I want to kind of set the scene for who you are, where you grew up, and then kind of maybe some family life to where we met, and then after that I want to dive into why powerlifting and why you've kind of got on this track of, man, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Like, you're right now, you're kind of in a thing like, okay, I tried a little bit of this, I love it. Okay, I like that. Now what's next? Oh, I like this. I want to do this.
Squirrel.
Right.
Squirrel.
But like, kind of give everyone a taste of like who you are, how, your childhood growing up, and just the environment, so they kind of know the, what kind of some of the trials and tribulations and struggles, and also some of the good stuff.
The up and coming of Tyler. Yeah, real interesting story.
Do it.
Well, I was born in Pocatello, Idaho.
Really?
Yep. Not a lot of people know that I was born in Idaho, even though I'll tell anybody about it. It's not a secret,
I didn't know you were a potato farmer.
Yeah,
I thought you were
a spud picker.
I thought you were born in Campbell County.
No, sir.
Okay.
But, lived in Idaho for, 11 years. and then we moved over to G-Town, aka, Cam County, Gillette.
Razor City.
Yeah, Razor City. Yeah, when I was about 12 years old, and I went to Hillcrest Elementary at first. I remember that. We lived kind of in the ghetto-ish area there.
Okay.
When we first moved here, and there were some scary occurrences. I'm not gonna lie. I almost got my bike stolen. I was riding to school one day.
What?
And I was riding it, and these two dudes chased after me, and they were trying to steal my bike, and I was a little fat kid, just pedaling for all my worth, dude, just trying to get to school like no.
Oh my god.
That was one of the most memorable times there, anyways. But so. Went to Hillcrest, and then we moved out into Sleepy Hollow area.
Okay.
And I went to Conestoga for the rest of my 6th grade year. And then after that, I ended up going to Sage Valley Junior High. Good times there. Met a lot of new friends. Being kind of new to the area, I would say what kickstarted me meeting people was actually joining up football.
Really? What position did you play in football in junior high?
I was a lineman.
Yeah.
Both sides. I guess I should have mentioned I was a heavy-set kid. I wasn't.
Really? Why? Okay. Was it just
a chubby kid?
Was it genetics, or was it just you
no,
just ate a lot?
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
I definitely ate a lot. Like, my mom wasn't one to say no when it came to she wasn't all about dieting or anything like that. But she cooked, but there was an abundance of snacks now. So, I was never deprived of snackage, and, if we wanted to get treats or whatever, we'd ask, and my mom would normally just go along with it. So,
gotcha.
Growing up, got to eat whatever I wanted, really. So, I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
I can't complain about the food and not eating and being starving. So, kind of just developed some bad habits there, just with not knowing what good or bad, which technically there's no good or bad food, it's just, quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the purpose of that, and really, being fat didn't affect my personality at all. I guess I just never let it get to me, and I was never really bullied about it either, which I was very fortunate in that aspect, because you think, fat kids kind of get bullied, obviously.
Well, I was going to ask you that, because, sometimes, do you think your personality developed because of that? Because, man, being around you're one of the funniest people I know, and can make friends with anybody. And it's a rare talent that you see people that possess that. Most people are pretty shy when they get to meet people and when they're around people, but just being around you and say in a gym atmosphere, or even if we're out, but even in college, having a drink or doing something, you just have this aura of, hey man, hey you, I don't know who you are, but nice to meet you. Come sit down. You just have that greeting, that aura about you. I don't know how else to describe it. Do you think was that shaped? Do you think from that, or do you think you've always had that?
I've always been a social person, man. Even as a little kid, I just liked. When I was a little kid, I loved being the center of attention, man. I was I would volunteer to say prayer at supper, and Boy Scouts. They'd ask somebody to say prayer before dinners and such, and I'd always volunteer, and then if there was a teacher's aide or something that they needed help with, I would just volunteer right off the bat, I loved getting in and just being the center of attention, and I liked having, people, I don't know if it was the attention that I liked, or if people looked up to that or whatever, but it was one of those things that was just in the back of your head. You just did it because that's who you are.
Yeah.
So, it was just one of those. And then, the social aspect of it, man, I love meeting people, and I love hearing people's stories, and just where they've come from, what they do, just because there's so many people on this planet, and everyone's interesting. I think every single person on the planet probably has a good story, one or at least one good story.
And they have some advice or some lesson that they can share that's helped them. Yeah. So you and I are similar in that way. I've always been interested, and that's part of the reason why this show exists.
Yeah, well, hey, hence you and I, man. That's
right.
how that came about, just that like-minded personality, and we're two guys that aren't afraid to BS.
That's right, man.
So it's
okay, now you're at junior high, you're playing football, you're making friends.
Yeah. Started playing football, and this is where I started meeting a lot of my really good friends that I'm still friends with today. And just started. I wasn't really into football. Like, I didn't like it. I liked it more for the social aspect rather than actually the competitive aspect. And I think I was kind of telling you this today. I'm not a very like competitive person against other people, or like, I just like to do active things just to keep myself going. But I don't really like to compete against other people.
Is it the comparison that maybe you struggle with, or is it just it doesn't excite you as much?
Yeah, it just doesn't, like, winning doesn't really excite me as it does
Really?
like a lot of people. Like, they're like, man, I love to win. It's just like, when I win something, it's kind of just a mediocre feeling. Like, oh, cool, I won. Man. Like, I don't get that hype or that drive to win. I just like to try new things because that's what excites me. It's like the feeling of trying and like getting into it and learning that aspect of just finding that new grind. Because, you try something, you either fail at it and then you're like, I don't really like that, or you get into something and you get good at it, and then it's like becomes repetitive a little bit and you start to lose that initial steam. Well, that's where the whole what's next?
Well, man, it sounds like your ego's in a great place, because most people, I feel like they want to win so bad so that they can feel validated. They want to be like, yep, I won that. That means I'm a good person, that I'm a good athlete, and that
I'm really good.
And that that they can actually live with themselves and look at themselves in the mirror. Where it sounds like you're just so comfortable with yourself and so, like, just, what it takes for you to feel good, and that you're confident in who you are as a person, that you're just like, how can I push myself? And it's like, how you competing against yourself is like the ultimate success.
Yeah.
Where, like, say you're running a mile and you run like a 7-minute mile, but then the next day you run a 6-minute
59.
59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
then
that
you're like,
little.
yeah.
Yeah. It's that sick feeling. Like, yeah, dude, I feel so accomplished.
And you like seeing that improvement in yourself more so than beating someone else.
Yeah. To where as if I ran a mile against someone and like I beat him by 2 seconds. That it's just like, dude, you won, good job. Well, to me, it's not like, yeah, I crushed you, dude, like, good job. Like, man, I'm really good. Nah, for me, it's myself. Yeah, I'm kind of selfish in that way. Like, competing just doesn't excite me, man. Win or lose, I don't care. Yeah, I just don't get that feeling that most people get. I've never I guess I can understand that feeling that people get, but I myself don't get that.
Huh. That's interesting. I like the mentality on that, where you're always trying to improve yourself, and not so much if someone else beats you, you're like, all right, well, you don't take it as they're better. You take it like, hey, where can I improve?
Yeah.
Where can I get better? And so, okay.
And it's not to come back and beat them. It's just like, okay, so obviously I'm not as good as I can be, so there you go. That's me. That's what I did. I performed, and now I can go back and I can work on those things just for myself. It's not like I need to come back and be victorious above all and the supreme ruler and whatnot. I don't care about being the top dog, man. I'm like you said, I'm comfortable where I'm at. I stick to my own groove.
You never know, that might change though too.
Maybe
it might.
Life changes.
Who knows? We'll see. There might be something out there that really lights your fire that you're like, okay.
Now it's time for me to step on the gas.
That's right. So, okay, after junior high, you went to Campbell County High School, right?
Yep. After junior high.
And what got you into wrestling? When did you start wrestling?
I guess I can backpedal there. So my.
What got you interested in that?
That's my mom just kind of brought it up to me when I was in 3rd grade. And my mom kind of wanted me to start doing something. Because, really all I did was play outside with my friends once in a while. Mostly, I was kind of a gamer. Like to go home and eat my food and play my games and whatnot, Simple kid.
Yeah.
Simple fat kid.
Oh, gosh.
Well, she asked me, she's like, hey, why don't we go try out this wrestling thing? Because they had freestyle wrestling for kids back then.
USA wrestling kind of deal?
Yeah, it was more so just like a local school club. Gooding, Idaho is the town I grew up in. It was a very rich community.
You grew up in Gooding?
Mm-hmm.
I have a buddy that lives in Gooding.
Oh, nice. Very small town.
Very small.
Yeah.
Good rodeo, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to a rodeo in Gooding. I did live there for quite a few years.
You better go reunite yourself. Okay,
Yeah,
continue.
so anyways.
Small town Gooding. Gotcha.
Yeah, so, the funds weren't really there, so this was kind of just put on by a couple dads, I think. I don't know, I was kind of still too young to really understand what was going on. I was just kind of showing up because my mom asked me, and I tried it, and it wasn't my favorite thing. It was cool, like I thought it was cool to be able to wrestle, and I did really well. Like, I was a strong fat kid, so that's kind of where I banked off of it. Wasn't good at doing any techniques or anything, wasn't good like that. I could just kind of muscle my way through it, and I started winning all these like first place ribbons.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, I've never done anything like that in my life. That was probably the first competition style thing I had ever done. And I was like, oh, right on. I get these blue ribbons, and I could show them off and whatever. And apparently I was pretty good at wrestling. So, I did it 3rd and 4th grade. They didn't offer it in 5th grade. Well, we moved over here, and I got in too late, so I was unable to actually do wrestling 6th grade. Well, junior high comes about. Hey, wrestling, let's get into it. So, and it was a completely different ball game, man. It was structured.
Yeah.
There was actual fouls and things, whereas in, the freestyle, whatever that little league I was in, there was like no rules.
Captain Insano shows no mercy.
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, it just taught me, it got me into a structured lifestyle, and I think that's what I really, I hated it, but I loved it, because it gave me a structured, discipline, and that's really where I started learning, it was 7th grade football, 7th grade wrestling, doing the sports, that it just kind of set the pace for okay, I need to listen, I need to start working on other things besides video gaming, and so that's where it kick-started, and I played football and wrestled all the way through junior high. That's where I started weightlifting.
Okay.
8th grade, 14 years old.
Yep.
We had a little spring training weightlifting class or whatever it was, and I fell in love instantly, dude, because the first thing we did, of course, was the bar for reps. How many reps can you get? And everybody jumped in on the football team, and we all were all doing it. And I got done, and I'm like, man, you're tuckered out, but it's like,
you got the pump, you got your first pump.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, dude, that's pretty sick, man. I'm lifting weights. I feel like the big boys now, because you see the big high school kids, and they're freaking giants compared to you at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Man, and that's what really pitted my interest in starting to weight lift, was just that feeling of like, man, if I do this, I'm going to get big and strong, and you feel powerful, whereas beforehand I'd never felt like that. It just felt like an average Joe.
And get your confidence up.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like a man.
Confidence, man. Yeah, feeling like a man, and that's where I wanted to pursue. So,
because that's kind of like when you're starting to weight lift, like you're saying, and getting into that sort of thing. Like at that age, 14,
so young,
testosterone hitting in puberty, that's you're starting to notice girls, and man, I want to be a man.
And then you want to grow up.
Oh yeah, big time, and you want to grow up fast.
Yeah, well, I did, man, and it wasn't too shortly after that summer, going into 8th grade, I had actually lost a bunch of weight. I got slimmed down, man, and I was almost like a new person. I showed up to practice, and I remember one of my buddies, he's like, D-Bar? He's like, is that you? I'm like, yeah, what's going on, man? He's like, holy crap, man, what happened to you? I was just like, I don't know, man, just lost some weight, and yeah. So I got pretty skinny, reverse tables. I mean, it must have been puberty and just the
testosterone kicking in.
Yeah, started working out, and things started rolling from there.
Heck yeah.
And, yeah, man. So then just kind of pursued sports all the way into high school. Quit football because, like I said, football wasn't really my thing.
Okay.
And then,
So you just did it through your 8th grade year then?
Just through 9th grade, and then as soon as we got up to the high school level, sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
I did the banquet, and then I'm like, man, went to one practice. I'm like, man, I'm not that good at football. It's like, I just don't like it that much, you know. So I just said, scrap it. I'll just wrestle. And, you know, my dad and I had a deal worked out to where,
Oh, really?
hey, if you don't do a sport, you're going to be paying for your own insurance on your vehicle. So he's like, I'll pay for your insurance, but you have to do a high school sport. He's like, that's the deal. And at the time, I had a job, so I could afford gas.
What were you doing for a job?
Video Experience.
What's that?
It's an old video rental place. It's kind of like Blockbuster, but like a home. And the owner actually lived in Sheridan.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. What was the name of the place in Sheridan?
I think it was just Video Experience.
Video Depot, maybe? Video Experience? Huh. Okay. So, it's funny you say that about your dad doing the deal with the insurance. My dad did the same thing, but he didn't do the insurance. He knew that I loved to hunt so much that he's like, and he wasn't worried about me playing sports. He's like, if you don't get good grades, you don't get to go hunting. So, like, oh my gosh. So, like,
don't take that from me.
Don't take it from me, man. So, like, that's the whole reason I got grades in high school. Like, I just wanted to play sports and hang out. I didn't want to do good in school.
Yeah, like, it's just like, school was on the back burner.
But then he's like, you don't get to go hunting. So I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I just got to push in school.
He's like, you got to see? I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it.
Don't worry. Extra credits coming in.
That's right. All right, so that was the deal you had with your dad.
Yeah, so that was the set principle. So that's what made me stick to wrestling. And I liked wrestling more than football, but I didn't. Man, I just wasn't like a big into the sports, like the competitiveness of it, like we were talking. But the reason I loved wrestling is because everybody was super cool. Like, all the dudes were cool, and I had a lot of friends that wrestled, and it was the camaraderie that I think I really found myself attracted to, and the workouts. Like, dude, dude,
Yeah.
Wrestling requires some really good shape.
Oh, man.
And it, like, when we would do 2-a-days, man, I loved it. Like, crushing the weights in the morning and getting that good workout in. You feel great, and then you go to school, you go through stupid school, like,
Yeah.
and then you hit practice afterward, and it was so hard and like challenging, but it was worth it. You would come to find out that it would be worth it.
Man, there's something, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's something about team sports that really drew me. Like, when I loved football, I loved to hit people. That's what drew me to football.
Oh yeah,
I just, when you're part of that team, you feel like if you don't do your part, you let the team down, then it eats on a person. At least it did eat on me, and you want to do better the next time. And then what's crazy is, like, in football, a person's in pretty decent shape. And then when I went to wrestling, oh my gosh, like, you get that 2-a-day sore again, and you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was good in shape. Like, football players are so out of shape compared to...
Yeah.
And then, boom, man, I remember when I was at my peak in wrestling, I remember I could hop on the treadmill and warm up at 7 miles an hour for 2 minutes, and then I would stick it on 10 for like a half hour and just go and get off, and your legs feel like jello, and you got like 4 or 5 miles in. You're just like, oh my gosh, like, wow. We'll bring that up in the future. We'll talk about your YouTube. Remind me. But yeah, man. Okay, so continue with your wrestling. You just like the camaraderie, getting in there with your buddies. And how did you wrestle all 4 years of high school or 3?
I had what year was it? Geez, 1 year I had my gallbladder started acting up on me, so I only made it through like a couple months of that season. I want to say that was my sophomore year, actually. Yeah, so I only made it through a couple months of that season. Then I had to quit because I was, couldn't aggravate it. And then I came back my junior year, and my junior year is my last year. The reason I didn't wrestle senior year was because I wanted to make more money and I wanted to work more.
Okay.
So I picked up some extra hours at the video store, and I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere in wrestling. I knew that. I just didn't have the drive to carry it out.
Do you regret not doing that last season?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's just one of those
life
decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after my junior year, I was no wrestling champion by any means. So, and not having that what would you call it? The liking for the sport, or that fire in there. Not having that, it just kind of, it was like, man, why am I even doing this? Is like, I could do all the workouts on my own, and I could stay dedicated in that aspect of my life just without that wrestling aspect.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I did regret or miss was that structured lifestyle. That was really good, because then it made me hold myself accountable. Whereas, you had coaches and teammates and whatnot pushing you and driving you to do better in the gym, to do, to wake up early, and you had a commitment. Whereas when I moved over, just to working, I never worked before school, so, I was sleep in until it was time to go to school, go to work, go home, do my own work, yada yada, or go out and party, whatever was going on,
So okay, so from that, then transferring into college, because you went straight to Gillette College after that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so then what was your mentality going into college, and then when did that point hit where you're like, man, I need to start doing something. I need to have some structure. I need to start finding something that motivates me.
Well, honestly, I would say I've always had that with the gym aspect. Like I never liked skipping workouts. I never took rest days or whatever. I always stuck with the gym and working out. But I found myself. I got a different job, and I started actually working full time and learning new skills, and that's how I kind of came about wanting to be an electrician. It was because one of my really good friends was an electrician, and he kind of set me down the path as like an older brother figure.
Okay.
So he kind of showed me the ropes, and I was really interested in it. And then he kind of hired me for his little side business, and I was working for him, and then he got me on as an apprentice at the Solving Tech.
Okay.
So it just became, now I'm an adult, I'm working like a full-time job, making money, and then I started college, and it was time to start learning about that aspect. So then it was, I just felt like, all right, well, I guess I'm on my path, just kind of the handshake in the wind. Well, as I started getting older, got into a relationship, well, you know how they end poorly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yep. So that taught me a really valuable life lesson. Love is real.
Yes.
I never believed in it until, that point in my life. I was just a young, naive kid. I'm like, you see all your buddies out there with a girlfriend, and you're just like, please. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're so pathetic. I'm never gonna be like you, dude. You say all the cheesy lines and whatnot. And then,
so whipped, bro.
Then guess what happens? You find yourself in the same
Cupid's got to get aim.
Yeah. So after that point, I think that was my pivotal moment, to where I was so crushed and like heartbroken, and it took a lot out of me, dude. Like I'd never been so in that mindset. Like I was depressed and sad, and I'd never been like that in my life. Didn't want to talk to people. Didn't
really.
Just
You're such an upbeat guy.
Yeah, very social. Like and I try to be upbeat and bright and bring the mood, because I hate to see other people down. Well, yeah, man, I went complete opposite. I was introvert, just shut the barn doors, and I was like that for a few months, and I kind of just. And then I started kind of talking about it with, a few of my good buddies, and I talked with my mom about it, my dad. They kind of gave me the life speeches. It's what I needed to hear,
Yeah.
And it kind of got me back on my feet. So then...
Man, I want to hit on that subject just for one split second.
Yeah, let's hit it.
Like, man, that's something great about having your circle, having some good friends, having a good family, and having just some people that you can, like, open up and just tell them that weight that's on your shoulders. Man, if you don't have anyone to talk to and vent, the more that weight it literally, like, you can't see it, but it starts sitting on your shoulders, and then it gets heavier and heavier. And finally, either you break or you talk to somebody, and it's almost like you got that plunger in the sink when you're filling it up to wash dishes, and then all of a sudden you just let that plunger go, and then all that crap just sucks out, and then
and you feel the relief, man.
Yeah.
It's a physical relief too, as well as just like an emotional and mental relief. you know, it feels like someone just takes this brick off your chest and you can just let it out.
And man, what's crazy is like when you have that weight on your shoulders and you go to do a workout, something you love to do, or even something like, say you love to go to the gym and just benches your day, and it hits that day and you just have that weight on your chest, you're just like, man, like nothing sounds good. Like nothing, you don't want to.
Because you just keep tying your mind, like you can't focus on the task.
Oh, no.
Your mind keeps drawing back to that scenario. And all these questions keep coming into your head. Like, man, what could I have done better? What did I do wrong? You know, screw that person. Then, you know, all these mixed emotions start coming into the woodwork, and it's like, oh man, you like a tornado of emotion. And it's weird to say that as guys, like, because, you know, being men don't really talk about the feelings, because, you know, we're manly. But
did you see that? Okay, bringing that up. Sorry everybody, but this is a total sidebar. I had a buddy of mine today send me a video, and it's like it's a TikTok video, but it's on Instagram, and it's this gal and guy, and this gal's like, hey, you know why they work out? And the other guy he's doing curls, he's like, we work out so we don't have to talk about our feelings, and we put our feelings into having our muscles. And then what happens when you're sad? We work out so we can get bigger muscles to hide more of our feelings. I'll show it to you after the podcast, but it's exactly what you're talking about. Because like as guys, it's pretty much like if you're bummed out or you're sad or whatever, and you start opening up to somebody, and your buddies are just kind of like, shut up, pussy, like don't talk about that, be a man. And it's like, okay, so then now we're programmed to hold it in, but nowadays it's like, it's a fine line nowadays too, because it's like now we're, because we want to have. Well, I'm trying to figure out how to say this politically correct, but like we have women that are doing the same jobs as guys, and everyone we want to be on an equal scale.
Yeah,
and I totally agree with that. Yeah,
sure,
exactly. But now it's like it's okay to cry more often, show your feelings all the time, which I feel like to an extent that's good. But you also, hey, let it out. But also, how are you gonna get better from it? Like
get tougher though. Like,
yes.
Let it out, but get tougher. Don't just squalor and waller and feel bad for yourself.
Whoa, me. How am I gonna get? Poor me. It's like no. Okay, let it out. Get the weight off your chest, like we've been talking.
Yeah.
But then
because there's people there for you for that reason. Like no one's gonna shun you away if you do it, but you can't drag it out to the point where it's annoying and people are like, okay, man, we get it. You're sad. Get over it.
Yeah, so but that also comes back to that circle and the inner friends like we were talking about. If those people really truly have your back, they're like, all right, man, I'll give you 5 minutes. Let it out. I'll be here for you. I totally support you. But then once that 5 minutes is over, let's put a game plan together and how we're going to fix this and how we're going to get better and
get you better.
Get back on that track, that warpath.
For sure.
So then how'd you get back on the warpath?
Well, shoot, man, it was just I guess I went through all the 20 million steps of
self-reflection. I have a problem.
However many steps there are, right? I guess I went through them all and just kind of woke up and it was like, well, now that I'm single, I'm really just want to work on myself. And it was in that state of mind where it was like, okay, what do I like to do? I sat down, I thought about it. I was like, well, I love weightlifting. I love lifting weights. So it was like, all right, I'm going to get into that. And then, started watching a lot of videos, doing a lot of research. And it was like, oh, then I kind of stumbled upon powerlifting. And I'd always been kind of doing it, but never in like an organized fashion. I was just kind of like the gym bro, maybe a little more serious than the gym bro, because I actually tried to progress at everything I did, but didn't really know what I was doing. I would just find a program online, follow it for a few weeks, a couple months, whatever, and then I'd be like, all right, well, kind of bored with that. I'll go find a new plan, and then it'd be like, then you find out things like bulking and cutting season. You find these, things out there's so many things out in the fitness world, but so I would just stumble in all these phases, trying different diets, different workouts, yada yada yada. I was just kind of stumbled onto powerlifting. I was like, well, I kind of do that, I'd like to get strong. Why not? So then I kind of got into that, and in the meantime, I picked up doing a lot more cardio. Because it really, like, going on runs really helped me clear my mind, and, and also my diet was horrible, because I kind of stopped eating during that, breakup period. Like, I wouldn't eat much, or food was an afterburner thought, surprisingly, because I love food, as the channel knows.
Well, okay. Well, let's finish talking about the weightlifting and stuff. And let's hit on your work a little bit, just for a split second, because you do the same thing that Jeremiah does, right?
No.
At the mine. Really?
Oh, yes, at the mine, yes.
Because you're a mine electrician at Black Thunder, right, in town. So the reason I don't want to go in depth on that. Just the reason why is because we talked about it a lot in Jeremiah's.
Yeah, no.
So everyone go listen to Jeremiah's if you want to know what he does at the mine.
Yep. Essentially the same job. We're both pit electricians, so.
Cool. Yeah, because we talked on Jeremiah's for about 30-45 minutes about electrician stuff. So yeah. But all right. So you quit eating. You're starting to dive into powerlifting.
Yep.
And then were you working out at the
rec center?
The rec center.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'd see you there once in a while. If you'd come back in, you'd work out. That's where we kind of catch up. And BS was at the rec because it was home.
Right.
For me at the time.
Because I remember in college where we'd go work out, which I was doing my thing for rodeo, but then you'd go in there and it'd be winter, and you're like, yeah, man, bulking season. I remember you'd legit say that, and then it'd come slowly in the spring. It's like cutting season. You were in that, like you were talking about, you were in those different transitions. So it's funny to see you say that, and man, go ahead, talk about what you want to say, and then I want to give you some compliments.
Well, I just never had really found that structure, and I think a lot of people go through this. And if there's one thing I can give a younger guy a piece of advice, find something you love and stick to it. Like, you can follow a trend, but just stick to it. Because if you're bouncing around all over the place, then you're going to hate yourself because you're making no progress because you didn't stick to one thing. You just kept bouncing around.
So I was going to ask you what advice you'd give later in the episode. Is that what you're going to stick to? Or you want me to ask it later?
Ask a little later. That's just okay. On this little subject.
On this subject? Okay. I was like, man, he's beat me to the gun. He's good.
6-shooter. More like 1 shot, 1 kill, bud.
Sticking to it's vital, though. I mean, like,
it really is.
Because, man,
it's consistency that builds that foundation.
Man, I'm glad you said that, too. Because I want to dive on that. Because when you look at a lot of things in life, when you look at, say, if you want to be a dad, if you're consistently there for your kids and your wife, and you're consistently, going to work and supporting them and being there for them to help them through life struggles, like, you're going to consistently be loved and be a good father.
Yeah,
like,
great example.
If you want to be, and I make that sound so simple, but I'm not a dad, so I can't vouch for that. I don't have no experience, but just from me observing it. But then, like, you look at people, like, say, in rodeo, people that make it to the national finals, they consistently ride good all year on good, bad, and ugly horses.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter their draw or whatever they take it, and they stay consistent.
Right, and then like you're talking about weightlifting. If say somebody's overweight and they want to get in shape, if you consistently show up to the gym 6 a.m., 5 p.m., whenever you can show up, and you put in half hour, an hour
the
workout.
time you have, put it in.
And be consistent.
Yes.
Show up.
Don't make the excuse. Don't put that aspect on the back burner and say, oh, well, I can just do double tomorrow. No, you won't.
No,
you won't. You just give up.
Right.
It's that consistency. If you only have 10 freaking minutes to work out, take the 10 minutes and work out. Just do it. If that 10 minutes every day is going to add up, how many days in a week? 7. That's 70 minutes of exercise you just got that you weren't getting previously.
Right.
So, it's not a big chore. And I think one thing people really, and I know you've talked about this with other people, but they want that instant gratification. People want to see that instant effect, and it's not gonna happen, man. You gotta stay consistent, but trust in yourself, trust in the training program that you're following, your diet, and whatever else that you're going along with. Trust in it, utilize that, and just stay consistent. And I guarantee, 100% guarantee, you will see results.
Dude, persistence is deadly.
Absolutely.
Persistence is deadly, whether you're hunting,
what is that? Predators never quit.
That's right. That's my buddy Sam.
Yeah, Sam says
he doesn't need as many shout-outs as you think. He's doing okay.
Well, I just took that to heart, man.
Dude, it's true though. He's a good guy, and he takes it into a hunting aspect. He's consistent,
right.
And being persistent, man. If your goal is to be whatever it is, if you want to be the best
astronaut or
gardener or whatever it is, but you better show up every day and being a student of the game, being a student of your craft. Mm-hmm. If you want to do leather work, or if you want to build like log couches or tables. You better be working and figuring out designs and thinking outside the box. And
take your own advice.
What?
This is what you're getting into, right? You know, it's kind of hobby stuff.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Right. Well, I've always been into like. It's tough because you only want to talk about the things that you're into, right? But
absolutely,
and that's the same thing that you're talking about being persistent and being consistent and all these different things. And I look at my life and where I'm at, and it's like when you saw me rodeoing, like I was very single-minded, one track.
Yeah,
like,
linear, very linear.
Like I'm gonna be consistent, and I want to do this
awesome.
for this event, right? Now that I don't have that with rodeo, I'm like, all right, well, I like to play the guitar. I like to do leather work. I like to still...
Squirrel.
Tons of squirrels, right? So now I'm like, I do a little bit of each, but it's just a little bit where you stay the same, but you still get the enjoyment from it. So
and that's the most important thing is you're enjoying it, right? You don't hate it. Like, you're not forcing yourself to do any of this, and you found your happy place.
Yeah.
So you're not in that mindset to where like, oh, I want to get, better. Tying it back to, exercising, it's like, you find that point and hey, you're happy, you're good, okay, stay there. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, where were you? You were in that mindset of, man, I really just want to get better, fitter, stronger, shrink my waist, whatever the goal.
You can only talk about it so much until you start. You finally got to start putting boots on the ground. And the hardest part about it is getting that first initial step, walking through the door, just like going back to the yoga thing. The hardest part was walking through the door and getting in there talking to him. Once I did that, it was a breeze. Yeah. And man, like I have a theory on things. Like when I was always nervous going to school, like just get in that new environment, all these different things, start new jobs, start a new path. And in my mind, I figure, and this is how I look at it. The first 2 weeks are the hardest because one, you're making friends, you're figuring out your routine, what you want to do after.
You're the newbie.
Right. But after 2 weeks, you kind of figure out your routine. You figure out the people that you want to associate with, where you're going to go eat and where's the gym you're going to go to and all these different things. And
the structure starts to form.
Right. And then you start to kind of, the weight comes off your chest. You're not in that fight or flight mode really as much anymore. You
don't have your backpack on like you're going to school first day.
Right.
Oh, didn't need all those notebooks and pencils and paper, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, man. So, okay, now you're on the path to do weightlifting, powerlifting. Then you started training for that. Then elaborate on how you kind of dove into that and who you started training with, all of it. Talk about it all.
Yeah, so I like I said, I found it interesting. I'm like, well, I'm kind of already doing that, so I thought I'd pick it up as like a sport. Well, talking to some of my other buddies, that I kind of lifted around or that I worked with, they were kind of into it as well. Well, we all kind of talked each other into signing up for a competition, a powerlifting meet.
Where's this
rec center?
Oh, it's at the rec center.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's where
In
they
town.
used to have it. Yeah, for the USAPL. And so it was like in January, and then, the rec center usually puts on an annual bench press competition. Well, I'd only been training powerlifting for a few months at that point, and, I wasn't used to the whole, the bench press technique. Because for those of you that don't know on the show, so when you set up for bench press, you get in tight. USAPL requires that you have your feet flat on the floor, can't be up on your toes. Your butt needs to remain on the bench, along with your shoulder blades, and your head needs to be laid back as well. Well, there's certain commands that I'd never trained with, and this is for all 3 compound lifts: the squat, the bench, the deadlift.
What's the commands?
So for squats, you'll go out, and usually the announcer will say, "Okay, platform is ready," and then you can head out onto the platform and get yourself set up. So in the squat, you come out, you'll unrack your weight, and the judges need to see that your knees are locked out in place, that you're steady, you're ready to squat, and once they see you're in that position, they'll say, "Squat." So then you go down to what you hopefully think is parallel, or lower, any above that, called technique, foul, boom.
And you get 3 fouls, right? And then you're done.
You get 3 attempts.
Okay.
At a max effort lift. So that one attempt just scratched it. Now you got 2 left. So it's like, oh crap. So paying attention to the technique and whatnot is very important, and I did not realize this until I did that bench press competition. I started training. I forgot to finish, but once you unrack the weight off that bench, they'll say start. So you'll bring the bar down at slow, as fast as you want, whatever. And then once it reaches your chest, you have to pause it there until the bar shows no momentum. It's got to pause on your chest, and they have to see that it's not still sinking into your boobs, or that you're sitting there rocking it or whatever. It's got to sit still. Once they see that, they'll call the command, press. So then you press it off your chest from a dead stop, and you can't just throw it back on the rack. You got to push it up, lock it out, and then once they say rack, then you can put it aside. So, I mean, it's the technical aspect, man. It's like being back in school again. And I think that's what kind of drew me in as well. It's like something new that I could learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been doing the whole bodybuilding, weightlifting routine for years now, right? And so the powerlifting thing came in as a whole new segment or a whole new chapter in that weightlifting book for me. And I think that's what really excited me about it, was because I had things to look forward to learning, to getting stronger, bettering my technique. And so did the bench press competition, did the competition in January, and I fell in love, man. It was so cool because everybody's there, they're cheering you on, and it's not even a team sport at all. You just compete by yourself. But having people there that you know and that actually care about you and you care about them, tying it into rodeo just like that.
Exactly.
You can be competing against that guy, but you want to see him do great, whether it's taking money out of your pocket or it's taking that medal off your neck. You want to see that person do great, and you want to help them as much as you can, cheer them on, because you want to see them get it. Because it's freaking sick to see somebody lift some heavy ass weight that they've never lifted before, that they didn't think they could do, and they do it, and it's just that feeling of like, nice, man, they killed it. And you're just pumped, dude. If you guys could, oh man, yeah, it's that feeling that really brought me back into that circle of finding a structure and following a plan. And from then on, that's what I started doing. I found a nice powerlifting plan. I've cycled through a few different ones. I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I really liked them all, just for all the different training aspects and incorporating different movements in and techniques. So the learning process was awesome. So I've been doing that for a few years now. And here we kind of sit, well, should say 2020 till the Cove.
Man, so how many competitions have you done?
Let's see, I did the bench press. I've done that one in January. So I've done 4 competitions and I think just the one bench press, but yeah, 4. I've competed in 4 powerlifting meets, 3 for the USAPL and 1 for the USPA. So there's different federations around, it's all politics is pretty much what it is.
Gotcha.
And money and whatnot, but they're all very similar. They just have, they might use different bars, or different techniques are allowed, different equipment.
I heard some are tested and some aren't tested, kind of thing.
Yep.
What I think is really cool, man, is like, okay, so you test out your bench, your squat, and your deadlift, right? You
Maximal
get your temps, and then they add those numbers together to see who has the max overall, who could do that
in your
division. But what's cool is that they factor your weight into it.
So then, weight classes.
So then they have your weight class, but then they can see who's the overall strongest man, and you don't have to be the biggest guy.
No.
If you weigh, say 150, but then you're pushing up over that 1,000-pound total mark.
Like you might outdo a 260-pound man that could lift triple your weight, but because of your body weight factor, because you're so much smaller than they are, of course, being a bigger person, you should be able to lift much more weight. So they do take that into effect to where it's more fair for what they call it, best lifter of the competition, and that's part of that Wilks formula that they use. It's a formula they can combine your, all your lifts and your body weight and yada yada yada. I don't even know the formula, but
I gotcha. Well, man, what's cool about it is like we're going full circle back to like dedication and getting on the path and what you've done, and it was cool. It was motivating for me because like I remember I wanted to see how much I could deadlift. And I remember it was probably 3 years ago or something. I deadlifted like 355, and then I damn near passed out. And I was like, dang, like that's my best. Like I'm pumped about that. And then here I come in right before I went to Minnesota, and I was like, man, I'm gonna deadlift, and you were deadlifting that day. And I was like, oh man, you were pushing me, just like kind of same thing as a powerlifting meet. And I was in a mode where I just wanted to get strong. I want to see how strong I could get. And I got like 385 or something. You were yelling at me, and like I didn't near passed out that time too. And I was just like, it was pumped. Like I see
clean.
Yeah, man, it was just pumped to get me going. And then here I trained my butt off, and I ended up getting, and this is kind of me bragging on myself. Sorry about that, but it's like, man, I hit 425 or 418 or whatever it was. But I was just so pumped. Like I totally get what you're saying about your people yelling at you and just stoked to see you do good.
That fire, man.
And that's like even at the gym we go to, like. Everyone's
it's every day.
Every day. If someone's going for a big lift, everyone in the whole gym stops, looks at him, and just starts screaming at him, just to motivate him.
I love that aspect of it, man, because the rec is it's more of a family-oriented gym.
Right.
To where, nice, but not something as, what I'm trying to do.
Right,
right. It's more dedicated toward what I'm trying to do. Which
exactly. And man, what I wanted to say for you is like what motivated me about you is that I remember I came in one day and you're walking, you're getting on the elliptical, you're training. I'm like, dude, aren't you supposed to be just getting strong? You're like, bro, if I can get lighter but still keep my strength, and I can find that happy medium where like I really have that where I'm eating enough, where I'm powerful but I'm light enough, where I'm agile and still strong enough, where I can weigh light to lift this heavy weight, dude, I'm gonna kick their tail. And I'm like, oh, he's on a whole nother level.
It kind of circles back into wrestling. It's the same concept,
Yep.
It's the weight cutting aspect. Whereas, like in wrestling, you might you want to keep that strength, of course, but maybe at a lighter weight class you can do better because your opponents aren't as good. Whereas, in powerlifting, the lighter you are, but the more maximal weight you can lift, that's just going to better your total.
Yeah.
So,
Dude, I like that aspect of it, and man. I just want to like dump a whole bunch of compliments on you, man, because just seeing you from college to how you were to here, just seeing you getting on your journey, and now that you're freaking yoked, bro. Like you, just watching some of your YouTube videos, and you're just doing these crazy, silly, awesome challenges, and you're just shredded doing them, and going from like, man, just your transformation. Like if I was you, I'd be proud as hell, just going from being, like you're saying, like a young fat kid to being now, like you're freaking lean.
A fitness enthusiast.
Yes.
Is what I would probably label myself as now, because fitness, man, it is such, it's my life, literally. Like, I have no life, like, yeah, I go to work, but outside of work, man, without fitness, I would not have much, because I love it. It's that much.
It's cool to see you get on that path where, like, a lot of other people are just, they're happy doing their 9 to 5. They're happy going home watching Netflix. Fall into the rut, just doing just whatever it takes to get by, but are they really living?
No.
Like when they look at themselves in the mirror.
Zombie mode is what we'll call it.
Zombie mode, yeah.
Zombie mode.
Yeah, and like you could, it's easy. Zombie mode's easy, man.
Absolutely.
And it's comfy. It's not hard.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just if you're the type of person that seeks more, or that in the back of their mind, like, is this really how I want to keep on living? There is that little itch. If you're thinking that in the back of your head, you got the drive.
Oh yeah, and you just got to figure out what it is.
And how to apply it.
Like if it doesn't have to be something physical. If you want to write a book, and you want to write a couple books, write a series, it's starting with the first page, and then the second page.
That's what it takes.
Yeah,
just these little baby steps.
Putting the work in.
Mm-hmm. And it might be during your little after hours of the 9 to 5 where you gotta dedicate that little bit of time. But it's gonna pay off, and 100%. You're gonna feel so much better. Even if you do fail, who cares? At least you tried.
You put yourself out there. Where 90% of people don't put themselves out there because they're scared of failing. But hey, if you don't try, you've already failed.
Yep.
So in my mind, it's like I would rather fail trying than fail not trying.
Yeah. And some might argue, well, if you don't try, you don't fail. Well, it's like, well, then there you go. You're in zombie mode. You're stuck there.
Yep, you've
already failed, bro. Do anything? You'll just keep the hamster wheel rolling.
And then you're gonna hit 60, 70 years old, and you're gonna look back and you're like, well, yeah, I made this money, but did I do anything?
How much did I do? Once you're forced to retire, I mean, some people don't, but You know, some people get kicked out into the curb, and it's like, all right, well, here's your pension, Social Security, whatever. You know, it's like, now go live your life, and you're forced to change at that point, right?
So what do they do then?
Well, I never tried anything because I was in zombie mode. So it's like, are you in good enough health to do that? I mean,
yeah,
it's one of those things that I personally don't want to look back on my life and be like, oh man, I should have tried that. Oh, all the excuses in the world. I'll pull them out of a rabbit's hat. You know?
Right.
Yeah, don't want to be like that, man.
Dude, I hear you. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Man, so then what got
Clearly.
you started with your YouTube? What was your motivation there?
YouTube. Yeah, well, let's touch on that.
Okay, what's the name of your channel so people can look it up?
It's just my name, Tyler Barnett. You can look it up. Yeah, I thought I'd keep it simple. Everybody tries to have a brand or whatever, but for me, like, I just want to rock my name. Like, I just want to be known as my name. You know, I don't want to have a handle or anything. Like, if you want to find me, just look under my name. Find me there.
Okay.
You know, I'm not trying to create a brand or anything. Just
maybe later.
Yeah, maybe. Future. Yeah.
Maybe a T-shirt or two.
Yeah. We've been talking. Cut off for two. We don't do T-shirts. Hulk mode.
No sleeves.
Yep. No sleeves. Well, shoot, man. You know, I kind of stumbled onto the YouTube platform, and I just.
What year is this?
Shoot, I think I started 3 years. I started my channel 3 years ago.
2018ish.
Yeah, probably right in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But before that, you know, I'd always been a fan of YouTube videos because I just thought YouTube was so cool because anybody can put anything on there and you can literally learn anything in the world on YouTube. I mean, you look something up, somebody's got a video on it. So I thought it was just the best platform for entertainment, education, and it's real people. I mean, it's not just fake people acting. You know, some of it is, but you know, for a majority of it, it's just a different platform from like streaming services and your typical what the heck is a good one, like Breaking Bad series. You know,
Yeah.
good shows are good, but you're not really getting much education out of a show.
Right.
To whereas like, you know, you can follow someone on YouTube and gain vast amounts of knowledge, and I think that's what really drew me to it.
And what's
was
cool,
like,
well, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
man.
go ahead.
Well, because like what you told me the other day is like when people on YouTube, like, they either want to see a day in the life of, or they want to be entertained, or they want to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And that really stuck with me. So that's why it's like now when I look at YouTube stuff, I think of it differently. But that's thanks to you. So
yeah, that's where my mind intelligence. When I first heard that from actually a guy I follow, his name's Zach Perna. He's a fitness influencer on YouTube, but really cool guy. He's one of those guys we talked about earlier that you really feel like you can connect with. Has a good personality like us, you know.
Yeah.
Goofy, but yeah, but he also teaches, you know, things that he's learned being a YouTuber. You know, he's put out some of those videos, and it just resonated with me. You know, he said, you know, there's only so many categories you can put your videos into, and you know, everybody that gets on YouTube is looking for something, whether it be entertainment. They want education. They want to learn how to do something, or you know, they simply just want to see how other people live, because it brings that feeling inside of them, like what would you call that? Living through someone else. What is that? There's a term for it.
I don't know. Well, because like.
But you get the gist.
I get the gist. Like, say if somebody lives in Australia and they go chasing kangaroos and they live in the outback, it's like, man, it'd be cool to do that someday. But you can't do it because you live here and you can't got the funds. But you watch the YouTube and you feel like you're there doing it.
Absolutely, and it gives you that future idea of like, oh man, I would love to go do that one day too. You know, you learn things like that as well. It's like you see, like you're saying, people living a different lifestyle. It kind of, you know, maybe you're into learning about other cultures, so you look it up on YouTube, you find out what a day in the life of a Japanese sumo wrestler looks like, and it's like, oh, cool, maybe one day I'll go watch a sumo wrestling match or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just stuff like that, you know. I think the entertainment value, the education, and just the all-around aspect of YouTube is what really drew me to it. And it was like, you know what, I love this, you know, we've talked about this, I love being social, and I love meeting new people, and I was like, man, what a way to get out there. Because, like, on your, I don't have a Facebook, but say Instagram, I can only connect with so many people, and that's people I probably already know, you know, because why are strangers come follow me on Instagram, and I'm just going to chat with a stranger on it, you know.
Yeah.
But YouTube is kind of what was like, clicked with me. It's like, man, I can make entertaining videos or educational videos, or I'll be able to interact with other YouTubers and learn from them. It's just, it was a platform that I saw a lot of potential for. And it was like, and then I shot my first video. I was like, all right, let's just do it. What can I do? And I thought, what do I love? Food. Food was like one of the first things, because it's a nostalgic thing for me. You know, going back to, I'm just a foodie dude at heart. I love food, like in a weird way. Like,
I remember in college.
Cut this.
Please don't say sexual way.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, of course.
Hannibal Lecter.
Oh god.
Fava beans, Mexicanity.
Dude, I remember in college we'd go to Old Chicago and you'd be like, bro, you gotta try the Calzone or the
calzone. Calzone.
Yeah, oh,
that was my go-to.
It's the best. Then you have this like, you just did your eyes roll back of your head. And you start heavy breathing. I'm like, Tyler, easy. I know it's good.
Just turned into a monster.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So back to the YouTube. You said you're gonna you like the food aspect, and then.
So I kind of thought about it, like, what do I love? Okay, food. I love food, and I personally follow people who do food challenges, and that's kind of what intrigued me to do it. It's like, it's a challenge. Like, why not try it? It's kind of like weightlifting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to get stronger. Well, hey, I'm going to try to eat all this food. So I was like, okay, what do I need? I need a camera. So luckily it was really close to Christmas time, I think. Something like that. And I asked my parents and my brother to go in on a camera if they really wanted to get me something. Which I was like, you guys don't have to, but of course, being the good family they are, they got me that camera in that bag right there.
Yeah.
So I had my camera, and prior to that, I was like, okay, what else I need? I bought a tripod, and that was kind of it. I just had a little basic setup, and I was like, all right, let's do it. So I was like, what am I doing? What do I love? Wendy's Dave's Triple. So I sat down and I thought, I was like, what do I want to do from Wendy's? You know, it was these little baby steps, and it was like, why don't I come up with this Dave's Triple challenge? So that was the end goal of the first video on YouTube.
What's the triple challenge?
So it's Dave's Triple.
Okay.
Large meal, 3 of them. And you gotta take down 3 large drinks, 3 Dave's Triples, and 3 French fries. And I want to say I gave myself a time limit on that one. I think it was like 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
And I barely beat that. Like, I was struggling.
And you did it?
Yeah.
Dude, you've got an iron stomach.
Oh man, that's what I thought.
Well, bro, because I watched one of your, okay, so we're going to skip ahead a little bit, but I watched one of your videos the other day, and hands down, like, if you haven't watched his videos, you need to go check him out, because like he puts a sense of humor in it. I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys, but it's classic. Like, he keeps it entertaining, it's funny, and what's cool about it too is you're getting better all the time. That's
the goal, man.
And it's like the same thing with the podcast. Like, if you listen to my first episode, you're like, oh god, and then now you
hopefully raw. It's
raw and real. Yeah, you get the gist.
But you take that rawness and you actually improve on it. Like, you still keep it in that raw feeling, but it just gets better. Like, because obviously your viewers will tell you.
Oh yeah.
You know, or your listeners, they're like, oh, maybe you could do this, and you're like, well, noted.
Right.
And then you implement it into the next one and the next one, and things start to tweak until, hey, the light bulb's in the base and it's lit up.
That's right. Because like watching your first videos, it's like, all right, you turned it on and you recorded it and you did the challenge.
Plain and simple.
And now you've got like some little sound effects. You throw in some little clips and editing it and a little more detailed so it fits your personality. And man, the other day you did the pizza ice cream challenge.
Yeah.
And like the way you did it, the way that you cut and sliced and diced it was awesome. And then I was impressed as hell because you ate, was it, how much, those pints?
Yeah, those
You ate
pints.
2 pints of ice cream. Was it large pizzas?
They were just the medium, the brand new ones.
But still, you ate 2 medium-sized pizzas by yourself.
Just chilling.
On camera. Like, me looking, I'm like, man, I would have had maybe 4 or 5 slices. And maybe about half a pint. Oh no. Tyler just
Never
crushes.
leave a pint behind.
And you looked like you could have had 8 more. It was impressive.
Sure. Yeah, I try to keep those ones, like, I'm not trying to gorge myself on well, it's called the Odd Combo series for a reason, but those I just want to, like, not for just entertainment, but for myself, like, I'm just curious, like, man, what if you did combine these foods? Is it going to taste good? Is it going to taste weird? You know, but going back to that, starting the channel, from when I very first pushed record, that's when the ball started rolling. You know, I started looking for things I could improve upon, taking in feedback, and kind of found out that YouTube was a lot of freaking work. Like, video editing takes hours and hours and hours, man. It is a grind to sit down and edit a video. Like, it can be a short video, but you don't want it to turn out like crap, so you take your time on it. And that time, it's a lot of time.
Oh, man.
So, you know, you'll get better. Like, you'll learn, like, little tricks and tips and things, but it's still gonna... I find that the more and more I get into video editing, I love it. Like, it's so cool because of the things you can do and really express yourself on a video format. And like we were talking about earlier, visual is becoming huge nowadays. Like, people love to see what's going on as well as listen and smell, taste. Throw all the senses in there. I wish they had smellograms so I could, share with you guys how good the food smells sometimes.
Dude, that'd be sweet. But like what you're saying is, people want to feel like they're there with you. They want to feel like they're part of that process.
They're hanging out with you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the feel I want. I want people to be like, okay, you're here with me. We're hanging out. Maybe you're eating too, and this provides you that comfort. Maybe you're eating alone, and you just whip on one of my videos, and now you're not eating alone. You're watching some idiot eat across the screen, and you're yourself, and it provides that comfort in some people. Because I know in myself, I can relate. Like, watching someone else eat, it sounds really weird, but it resonates with me because, being the fat kid, being the foodie I am, I love watching people just dominate some food, man. It makes me hungry. It gets me pumped. It's the same feeling I get when I watch somebody else lift a weight or crush their PR. It's that exciting feeling, like, man, that is cool, dude. Like, that, the old tinker gets something, like, nice, man.
Man, it's just
good for you.
I like how you're all about, maybe this would be the title of the episode, but it's like self-improvement and everyone else's self-improvement, and just, in a way, how the world gets better, how we make each other better, and how... seeing passion in other people's eyes and their hearts and that desire and that drive to improve themselves. Like, that's what gets you excited.
Absolutely, man. That's why I love seeing all the progress going on right now at the gym, especially. So many people making these improvements and seeing their transformations and their change up and their dedication. Like, because I would say I'm a very avid gym goer. I go to the gym a lot.
Yeah.
Try not to miss a day.
Well, man, I look at the sign-in sheet in the mornings, and like sometimes you're there at 3 in the morning.
Just putting in the grind, but that's what's cool about it.
Just casually. Just putting in the grind.
Well, showing up and I get to see the same faces, like, at all different times of the day, because I never really go to the gym at the same time. It depends on when I'm working, when I'm free, and whatever, but I make it in at different times of the day, and I get to see the progression through so many different people. And whether it be they're getting stronger, they're getting leaner, they're looking better, they can actually do the stair climber now, things like that. I'm just tickled to death, man. It's just so cool to see people progressing and bettering themselves, and it drives me. I see that, and I get that fire, man. I'm like, let's go, baby.
Oh, heck
Yeah,
yeah.
you got it.
Well, it's all
They're
about,
doing it. You should do it too.
it's all who you surround yourself with. Back to that again. You know, it's kind of one of the
That
key
circle.
principles in life. Like, you surround yourself with good people. You surround yourself with people that want to get in shape. Well, you're probably going to get in shape too. You're surrounded by people that are wanting to get stronger. You're probably going to get stronger too.
That mentality, man. That, what do they call that? Pack mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, if you're the weak link in the pack, or you're the one that's not as dedicated, well, you're eventually going to get dropped off or fall off on your own.
Sink
get
or
eaten by
swim.
Yeah, sink or swim, man. 100%.
Heck yeah, man. Well, man, I think this is a good time. I'm going to ask you the advice thing again, but what other piece of advice has helped you out? They look at either someone told you or something that when you were in that dark moment, like picked you up and pulled you up by your bootstraps. Like, what would you tell someone that was in that same situation?
You know, if you ever find yourself lost or confused about what's going on, like what you should do personally in your life, go to someone you trust that's been there. Like maybe an elder or your parents or someone you really look up to. It could be anyone around your area. Just find that mentor and listen to them. Like, take their words to heart. Don't just brush it off. Because I myself have learned from that mistake already. You know, I'm not saying we're old, but we are getting up there, man, in age. And I look back at all the years I've wasted. I think, I'm sure you do the same. You look back and you think, man, I could have been so much farther ahead if I would have just taken so-and-so's advice, or if I would have just found this sooner. So my advice to anybody out there is just find a mentor if you're in a dark spot or a lost place, and listen to them. Take their advice and follow it. Don't be cocky. Don't be arrogant. You don't know everything, so shut up.
Yeah.
You know, none of us know everything.
Check your ego.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn, and what I've kind of found is, like, if you think you know something really good, that's the thing you need to listen more about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think you know a lot about weightlifting, maybe you should listen to more weightlifting advice.
Yeah.
Because once once you start, you put that bubble on your mind that, hey, I know everything, you quit learning. You quit looking for that edge, and you become complacent.
Yeah, and you start sliding off, and
The next thing you know, you get beat, and you're like,
sink or swim.
That's right, man. I think that's good. And, like, also, I think, you know, finding a mentor, but be selective about who's your mentor. Because,
Yes.
you know,
Well,
I think
look around, like, there's Cody. I just listened to his podcast recently.
Cody.
He's someone you found yourself a mentor in, right?
Yeah, was he at the pawn shop, episode
Yep.
23?
Yep.
Yeah, Cody Quarterman.
Yeah, and you were able to distinguish him as an excellent mentor because of the circle he surrounded himself with. So I think anybody could do that. You know, word of mouth obviously spreads like wildfire in smaller towns like this, and I'm sure,
Right.
you know, people in your local area, of course people are going to talk, but it you know, take that and utilize that. If you think that person isn't a good person, well, stray away. But if they also surround themselves with good people and they're talked about highly and they have so much to show for it, you know, and they're just a good person in general, you know, take that path.
Yeah.
Listen to that person, find that person that can drive you or really, you know, take you by the shoulders and turn you on the path that maybe you don't know you need to go down, but they've been there.
Oh, yeah.
They know. So that's one of my biggest regrets, and one of the things I'm gonna preach about is learn from other people's mistakes, and that's why having that mentor there is such a good thing, because they've made them. They've been there.
They'll save you a lot of time and money.
And that's why I say listen to them and take that advice. Don't just brush it off. You think you know, you don't.
Yep, write it down,
Mm-hmm.
look at it, read it again, and when you think you haven't memorized it, keep reading it.
Yep.
And just try to put that into action.
And then go back to that consistency thing that we were talking about.
100%.
And lay that structure down and pave your way.
Heck yeah. blaze that trail.
Blaze that
no
trail,
pun intended.
Nice.
Like how I slid that in there.
Yeah. Cheeky little slide in there, isn't it? I slide this little cheeky saying in there. British teleprompter here, Tyler. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show.
Oh my gosh. No, man, I think that's some good stuff. Trying to think if there's... I had another question for you too before, because I think we're getting close to wrapping this up. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? Well, what about anything more on your YouTube channel? Like you got the odd eats. What else do you got on there?
Food challenges. And spoiler alert for you guys, we are recording this episode of the podcast for both Devan and I's purposes. So, you know, I'm trying to mix it up. I also have like food and fitness challenges, which is probably my favorite thing to do, you know, because I get to incorporate two things that I absolutely love and just put them into one and mesh.
Oh man.
So yeah, I got a couple of those videos, but I kind of took a break from YouTube, so you'll see some time gaps between some of my videos, like my older food challenges, and then up to today's videos. So yeah, that's kind of neat.
Heck yeah, man. Well, man, another question I've come to love to ask people is, what do you want to be remembered for? What's something that at the end of your days, when people look back and talk about you, what do you hope they say? And why?
You know, I would hope that the day that I pass away, probably from skydiving and the parachute doesn't deploy.
Oh my gosh. What about the reserve chute? I forgot.
Oh, I never wore it. Oops.
I think I'm standard.
Whoops. You know what? I just want people to... I don't really care if they say much about me. I guess if one thing I could be remembered for is, like, you know, he was a good guy. I don't want to be known as the dick or the guy that no one liked because he was an asshole or he didn't care or he was too egotistical, whatever the cause may be. And I'd like to be remembered for being the guy that was just a nice guy. And if that's all I get out of it, I'm cool with that. If people are like, yeah, he was a nice guy. Boom.
Man, what's
Purpose
interesting...
fulfilled.
I love that answer. And what's interesting is, like, a lot of people's answers are kind of the same. They just want to be remembered for being a good person and making people feel good. And
absolutely,
just having, like, whoever it is, they have a good conversation with them. And I feel like people want to feel like they make a difference. And usually it's making a difference by just the golden rule in a way. Like,
yeah,
hey,
just being kind to your neighbor.
Treat people how you want to be treated. And
100%, man.
Yeah, and man, everyone's going through something. And I know we get that just piss pounded down our throats. Like, they know that, hey, yeah, I know I'm supposed to treat people how they want to be treated, blah, blah, blah. But, like, man, like, if you're really starting to think about it and you put it into action, and like, I have a buddy in Minnesota that he's like, man, I just try to smile at people every day. If that's my little bit that I give back and it made them feel brighter about their day, or like, hey, this guy was nice to me, and it might be all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the heck out of that, man.
Yeah.
Man, so...
Yeah, and I think that's why this podcast is great, dude, because you have such like-minded people from different backgrounds. Like, I'm no rodeo guy at all. I watched a few of them, but I can sit down and listen to you talk about rodeo or hunting, another aspect I'm not big on. You know, I can sit down and listen to you BS with just different folk from different background, and it's just really cool to hear their stories. And I don't even really know what they're doing, but hey, it sounds great.
And what's cool about it all, they all have kind of the same underlying thing.
Message, yes.
They all are on that path. They're all on that mission to be successful at some form or fashion or something they're passionate about, right? And then same thing like you said, they just want to be a good person and just try to do the best they can. Yep. And then they have, a lot of advice they would maybe wish they would have told to their younger self, or advice they need to listen to now, or that they are listening to now. And this is the way that they're going to live, and they're going to live and shape their life for the future.
Yes.
And just everyone has a different trial and tribulation and just a bad time and a good time they went through, and how it shaped them to be who they are. And it's cool that everyone has that story.
Yeah.
And they're not all the same.
Yeah.
I like to think of life as a book. We all have different chapters in our lives and things we can reflect on, but every day.
Yeah, some people are farther along in the book than others.
Right. And what's great is every day is a blank page. So if you're not where you want to be, you can always go and rewrite the script and change the story. You can always start a new chapter, no matter where you're
You can
at.
always tear that page out and move on to the next one.
That's right. You can go back and just erase it and go on to the next one, man. But, man, do you got any books? Speaking of books, do you got any books you'd like to recommend to people?
Oh man, not a big reader whatsoever.
Well, what about like magazines or any internet articles you've read that helped you out, whether it be for lifting or any YouTube channels that you would like point people to that's changed you and helped you? Those work too, man.
Yeah, I guess somebody really actually did change my life in a huge way was Greg Doucette on YouTube. Coach Greg. Maybe some of you have heard, maybe not. But his mentality, man, and his aura, you know, he just wants people to get better. And I've learned so much from him. And this is just in like the living a healthier lifestyle, you know, the fitness aspect. But I think many other walks of life could probably learn one thing or another. He has so much of that content. And then just other fitness influencers that I follow as well. I follow so many of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a big one that I resonate well with because he keeps it so simple that a freaking kindergartner can understand his lesson. You know, so I just like that about him because he was a teacher and yeah, he's a little unorthodox and a lot of people probably won't like him. You know, to me, he's a teacher and he's got great advice. Other than that, man, kind of just tidbits here and there from all over YouTube. YouTube's pretty much my source of
That's your
intel.
book. That's your book.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it, man.
Well, aside from school now, but
Yeah. Talk about that for a split second. What are you going back to school for and why?
Oh, so I hopped on and decided to go through NASM to get my personal training education.
Okay.
Not so much to be a personal trainer. It's more selfish of a reason. Like
How you can train yourself better.
yeah,
What
dude,
else
and
you
it's so awesome. I've learned so much for myself. It's like, yeah, the training someone else. Okay, I guess
Maybe later.
Maybe, but right now it's 100% selfish.
How to sharpen that knife every day.
Yeah, and the textbook that I'm reading, it's their, just their education book, but the knowledge in that thing, man, that I've picked up, it's so cool to read about to me personally because I know what all of this is. It's like, but I've never applied it or I've never heard that terminology, so I'm learning new things about the whole fitness industry
Nice.
within this book. You know, it's a freaking textbook too.
Then you're
Who
pumped
would have
about
thought? You're right.
Your favorite book is a textbook.
I mean, it's very interesting, man.
It's all finding what you're passionate about, what makes
Yeah.
you tick, and what drives you, and what motivates you. And man, sometimes it's a textbook.
That it is, my friend. It's that aspect of learning something new and being able to apply it to your everyday life.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So what can people expect to see from you in the future?
From the future,
From the future. I mean, for the
or
future.
for the future, sorry. Yeah, for the future. I don't know. I got a lot of squirrel moments going on right now. I'm touching in so many different parts of the fitness industry, but I still do want to do that bodybuilding comp with you. I'm just kind of waiting to commit once I build up my hedge fund here that I'm saving up, and then
There
I'll
you
probably
go.
just get right onto it. But yeah, dabbling into bodybuilding. Never going to quit powerlifting. May not be as strong as I once was because I'm doing so much other stuff, but
Because you do a lot of running, you do a lot of other
a
stuff.
lot of long distance running, trying to get into, you know, doing half marathons, full marathons, you know, somewhere in there. And then today, you know, you were there to teach me a little CrossFit. So been dabbling in the CrossFit realm for a few weeks now, and you know, I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna be a whirlwind of fitness.
I love it.
And gonna carry on the eating. I've got more challenges and then more odd combo episodes, and on top of that, I'd like to start doing like food and fitness with friends, like I brought up with you, to where I bring my buddies onto the show and or the channel, and and we do some, somebody picks a workout, somebody picks a food challenge. Who's going to leave it up to who to do what?
Oh, gosh.
So, that I think that'd make an interesting theme.
Heck yeah, man. All good stuff. And, man, like this is that's like the same thing for me in a roundabout way. Like, I wanted to challenge myself physically, and that's why I chose to do the bodybuilding competition.
Yeah, something new for you.
Something new, something out of the box, something that makes you nervous, test you
and
a little bit.
you're completely learning how to work muscle groups differently than once you've worked them out before.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's probably very exciting for you.
It is, and it motivates me to get to the gym every day. I typically work out in the mornings, not as early as you, but I try to get there around 7.
Some days you do.
But, man, so if everyone wants to listen more about that, listen to episode 91 on my show. It's going to post tomorrow, actually.
I got a long ways.
Yeah, you got a long ways to catch up by. But, no, man, all good stuff, and I need to get better about, let's see here, I'm getting a call. I'm going to decline that. But,
Trash.
Trash. But no, I need to start doing like what we did today. Be better about, trash. Be better about doing videos, and so people can watch it on.
Yeah, the visual aspect.
Yeah,
of it.
and it's like I don't know yet how I'm gonna do that because I'm pumped to post this on my YouTube so people can watch the podcast. So they can see how we interact, mannerisms.
Because hands talk as well, and then being able to see someone's emotion on their face when they're telling the story, it brings you in closer. Because you can tell a story with passion, but your voice only carries so far. But being able to see the body language and the facial expressions, and being able to really see somebody wear their heart on their sleeve when they tell a story like that, it's like a movie.
Oh yeah, man, and people like to sit there and feel like they're in the conversation with us through the camera, through the lens, and watch it on a couch or on their drive or whatever they're doing. I mean, I'm not condoning watching it while you drive,
but do it.
But do it. But
YouTube and drive.
So I'm gonna try to be better about that when I have one-on-one guests, but like virtually, like over when I do like Skype and Zoom calls, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna work, but I'll try to be better about maybe getting that started.
Yeah, like screen recording.
Yeah, I'll try to see. I'll see what I can do, but just so for everyone knows, I'm gonna work on that and always trying to get better, man.
Yeah.
So, man,
100%.
where can people follow you on your social media stuff?
So I do not have a Facebook, thank goodness, because that platform is not for me. But I do have an Instagram. Relatively active on it. It's TBAR, TBAR, no caps, _savage.
Love it.
Now, mind you, I set this up when I was in that mentality of party mode. But TBAR _savage on Instagram.
I like how you grew into the name.
Yeah, I just left it because, it's one of those old nostalgic things, similar to my YouTube name. I just rock it.
Just rock
I'm like we've talked about, I'm comfortable with myself. I don't care about judgment, whatever. You don't like me, don't like me. Like me. Whatever. Cares.
You want a hug?
You need a hug?
Just right, man. Well, I'll make sure to put all your handles and stuff in the show notes so people can find you easier. And heck yeah, man. What any final words?
Keep this podcast up, man. This is great. This was a great BS session,
dude.
And I love them. But I do listen to the Blaze of Trails podcast on my long runs. It's nice to sit around and feel like you're hanging out with Devin and the boys.
The boys.
Or the girls. Sorry.
Yes.
Boys and girls. So a lot of interesting tales. And I really appreciate you having me on, man. This is really cool, buddy.
Heck yeah, man.
I hope you keep on trucking.
Heck yeah, man. We'll have you on again for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I love this type of stuff. This is great.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thanks for being on, and everyone listening. Keep blazing trails and telling tales, and I'll see you down the road. Here we go.
Rocked it.
Heck yeah, man.
And for those of you on the YouTube channel, Devin, go ahead and just shout yourself out, man. Tell the people where they can follow you. How they can get a hold of you for business inquiries.
Nothing's for sale. But they can find me at Devan Reilly on Instagram. It's at DevanReilly. And you can also find the Blazing Trails Podcast on Instagram. And it's just at Blazing Trails Podcast. I am on Facebook on all the same names. So give me a click, give me a follow on all that stuff if you want. And I'm sure...
Please do.
And I'm sure that this YouTube video will probably be on my YouTube too as well. So should be fun.
Yeah, a joint venture here, podcast and YouTube video trial. So If y'all did find yourself liking this type of content, please do like the video. And don't forget to subscribe. Devin does have a new Blazing Trails podcast channel, as you mentioned. So go over to his channel, subscribe to him, and watch all these podcasts as they're going on live.
And I don't know if my YouTube's gonna be Blazing Trails Telling Tales or if it's just Blazing Trails Podcast. So check one of those. And what I've seen with YouTube and like podcast comments and ratings and all that stuff, don't be stingy, man. It helps us out. We would do the same for you.
Yeah.
Go hit that
support. A circle of support.
Like a training bra.
Yes.
Lifting
you
up.
You gotta clasp. You get the lift.
You lift it. Was it off Legally Blonde? You gotta bend and snap.
Yep. Bend
and snap. So just the love, sharing it, help it out, share it to your friends and family. Yeah, man. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about?
No. Thanks for tuning in to some new video content, guys. And until next time, my friends, stay hungry.
Stay hungry.
Woo!
Oh, we're going to flex?
And on the seventh day, God created these 16-inch pythons.